I didn't think I'd ever have to say this, but the issues we saw with the referees in Game 2 were eclipsed by even more troubling calls in Game 3. Unfortunately, taking the focus away from a convincing Raptors win by some egregious interpretations of the rules. So let's break it down and keep track of which team benefited from each call to see if the referees helped decide the outcome in a meaningful way. In order to do this, I need to bring in Ronnie Nunn, since he was an NBA referee for 19 years, head of officials for 5 years, and director of development for 3 more. Well, Ronnie, I'm ready to go. Let's break this stuff down. I gotta tell you, I gotta be candid, I don't think I've ever grabbed this many clips for you and I to go over in a game, regular season, playoffs, anything. So we got our work cut out for us to explain it and help people get over what the trauma of Game 3.
First of all, without forgetting this is an exciting series. And even though there are calls that should be polished more, it's still exciting. So, but let's go through it because we're looking for more accuracy when we can get it.
For sure. Well, we don't get that far in the game. 9 minutes and 30 seconds left in the first quarter. And we have a DeMarcus Cousins three-point attempt, and Marcus All contests it. They blow the whistle. They give him 3 free throws. Why do we want to grab this one to start?
You know, this is a kind of play where we're looking for landing. Gasol is in a good place. He doesn't come forward. He drops his arm and does make contact, but it's well after the release. The release is clean. The wrist is broken on the release. The arm is fine. And what we really have is a flopper. I mean, we really have DeMarcus flopping on this play, and he gets the call. Now, the official sees this arm play, and he may believe that that's a play that also involves landing. And I would say to him, stay away from that one. That's more flop on that than a real, illegal act by Gasol.
I hear you, yeah. So that should not have been a call. It did definitely advantage the Warriors. And that brings us to the end of the first quarter where we have a drive by Kawhi. And I'm not sure. I've watched this 10 times, and I flip back and forth every time about whether or not he travels before he gathers and dunks it. What do you think, Ronnie?
You know, I saw this play. I had to look at it twice because he takes 2 bitty steps. It makes it look like he's taking the 3rd step, and he put it down. But, you know, as I looked at it, and in all fairness, slowed it down, he actually gathers the ball at the right time where those 2 bitty steps are legal. So they finish the play. Those 2 steps are actually 1 and 2, and he goes up and dunks it. So everything legal on that play. I looked at it really closely.
For sure. And it's also indicative of the injured right leg because that footwork normally would have been a left or right, maybe like off of both, but the right foot leading. And I think that he doesn't want to load up and go off that right foot like that. So he took the extra step, which looked funny. But yeah, he gathered later than we looked like from the baseline angle. And so I think that's a really interesting thing where we can kind of see in evidence how his leg is really bothering him. And he has to go off both feet to jump. And, he doesn't seem to bother him. He's still lighting it up. So let's move on to the end of the first quarter. We have Steph Curry dribbling against Danny Green, and he has a provocative move, to say the least, with a high dribble, I suppose we could call it. Was this a carry?
You know, this is closer to a carry than not. It's a very interesting play that you would think it may not be a carry. You know what the issue is? Everybody who sees this play knows that it's a carry. It's really a little bit of a loss of the ball. And the thinking here is, how does he retrieve it to continue his dribble? And you notice, in order for him to reach that far back, the palm does go beyond 180. And I think on smart basketball players, just call the plays as you see them, because they save maybe in another play that would never have occurred. That now you're in the soup on that play too, because it's a tight play of whether he gets bumped or not by Ibaka, which I don't think he does. I looked at it in a couple of ways, and he jackknifes the play, which throws him back to get the ball to the rim. So a little basketball background knowledge helps me understand that somewhat. But again, I would have liked a palming violation, and let's keep on going.
Yeah, for sure. And I certainly don't think anybody in the arena in Oakland would have complained about that call either. I think that was it. I think they all probably wiped their brow for a second and was like, thank God, because also he hits that shot, a really great shot. So, okay, so advantage Warriors on that one, I suppose. Now we come out to the second quarter midway through, and we have another play here where Steph Curry comes off of a screen and then hits it to Boogie Cousins. Now, Ibaka is a terrific shot blocker, gets a lot of balls, so it's common to assume, okay, he's probably winning these blocks, but How would you miss it when it really hits the backboard so clearly before he blocks you, which obviously is a clear and cut, cut and dried play, got to be a goaltend. How do they miss this one?
This is going to be a play, I think, in the future that's going to be looked at because of the cameras. And I think they may play it on, but I think sometimes this is going to be one they may have to look at. It's a very tough play to see plays off the glass. However, you got to really train your eyes to go get the defender. You got to forget about Cousins. You got to go get Ibaka. Watch everything Ibaka does, and then you'll find out if he's the culprit or not. In fact, he not only got it off the glass, but he fouls DeMarcus, two bigs, and DeMarcus can't get out of the way. He's got that low gravity going, and so he gets hit too. So it really would have been N1 for the goaltend and a foul. So it's unfortunate that we missed the goaltend, number one. If they had the goaltend, I think everything else would have just faded away.
Yeah, I agree. And in fact, that's going to come up in a little bit too on another block that we'll talk about. But yeah, unfortunate because that should have been at least 2 points, if not more. Now we then come down not too much later in the second quarter, and Kawhi Leonard, does take Draymond down, or Draymond takes the charge, and that looks like he's set and everything is good and dandy. But when we look at where Draymond's left foot was, it's in the restricted area. Does it not count in a transition?
You said a very interesting thing. When we first, a little quick history, when we first decided to deal with the semicircle, which is the restricted area, there was a question on a fast break on secondary defenders. And the answer was, when I was sitting in the seat as a referee, I will never forget it, on all fast breaks, all defenders are secondary defenders. So if they have a responsibility to get up and out. And in this particular case, he's in. And so, therefore, it's not a one-on-one primary defender. It may look like that. And by the way, this helps it because there are several players back there for passing or whatever you want to do, making that defender even more of a secondary defender. So he is in the restricted area. It should have been a block for that concept, reason, and background. I don't know if they're talking about that today in the office, and they should be, because that's the part of restricted area that people can get confused on. All players on a fast break, the defenders, are secondary defenders on a fast break.
Wow. Okay. So no matter, even if Draymond was even closer and really just guarding him, it was clear it's because of the nature of a fast break, he has to be deemed a secondary defender.
Yeah, even if it was one-on-one in that position.
Okay.
Unless, the ball came to a stop, and then there was a maneuver, and now it's almost a half-court game.
Okay, well, let's get on to the next play here. Let's got a lot of them to get through. Quinn Cook hands off to Curry and kind of just sort of continues his momentum, going away from everything, and runs into Lowry, and they call it on Quinn Cook. What do you think about this call?
Yeah, well, hey, it's not offensive. Lowry is tremendous at drawing offensive fouls on ball and off ball, and he moves to his left. He recognizes what he might get away with, and he surprises the official. And the official's surprised, and when you're surprised by anything, your choices and your decisions are up in the air. You flip a coin and say, I've got to have something. I like that part of it because you've got to manage the game and the contacts. But the other part of it, I would have liked him to recognize by having a slower pace down court and maybe following this play a little bit better so he can see not only Curry and what he's about to do, but the people around Curry. And whether it's on a pick and roll or whether it's on a play like this, you want to get a better perspective. Stop, slow down, get a little panoramic mini view, and you can pick up Lowry's maneuver. A lure illegal that created an offensive foul when it should have been a block.
Fair enough. And it might have been one of the only offensive charges I've ever seen where the defender doesn't fall down. And so that was another shocking one to me. Sports fans, don't miss part 2 coming up as we delve into the second half and some even more crucial calls that benefited both teams. You in?